Welcome back, passionate coin hunters, everyday collectors, and curious minds to Rare Coin Legacy, the channel where forgotten pocket change turns into legendary fortune stories, and where modern mistakes quietly become multi-million-dollar myths. Because today we are diving deep into one of the most intriguing and lesser understood modern penny legends of all time, the astonishing idea that a 1988 1-cent coin, a penny most people have spent without a second thought, could under extremely rare and specific circumstances be valued as high as $11 million due to an extraordinary convergence of minting errors, production flaws, transitional anomalies, overlooked mistakes, and collector-driven scarcity that together elevate a simple Lincoln cent into the uppermost tier of modern numismatic icons. And to understand how such a valuation is even remotely possible, you must first understand the environment of the United States Mint during the late 1980s, a period marked by relentless production demands, cost-cutting pressures, aging equipment, and the lingering aftereffects of the dramatic 1982 transition from bronze to copper-plated zinc cents. Because although the official transition had already occurred several years earlier, leftover materials, experimental blanks, and mixed inventory realities continue to create opportunities for rare and unintended outcomes. And in 1988, the Mint was producing billions upon billions of cents annually, particularly at facilities like Philadelphia and Denver, pushing dies far beyond their ideal lifespans and stretching quality control systems to their breaking point, creating exactly the kind of conditions where rare and dramatic errors can escape into circulation unnoticed. And one of the most explosive possibilities behind the $11,001,988 narrative is a wrong metal composition error. Because while 1988 cents were officially struck on copper-plated zinc planchets, numismatic history has repeatedly shown that solid bronze planchets from pre-1982 production sometimes remained in mint facilities for years and were occasionally fed into presses by accident, especially during maintenance, testing, or planchet hopper refills, and a confirmed 1988 cent struck on a solid bronze planchet would immediately stand out by weight, sound, thickness, color, and long-term toning behavior, placing it among the rarest modern Lincoln cents ever known, comparable to legendary transitional errors like the 1983 bronze cent. But composition alone does not explain the astronomical valuation, because the most valuable theoretical 1988 cent would almost certainly display a true double die obverse, not the common mechanical doubling that adds little value, but genuine hub doubling created during die production, where the design was impressed multiple times at slightly misaligned angles, resulting in thickened and clearly separated lettering in Liberty, dramatic doubling in the date numerals, and strong separation in "In God We Trust" that remains visible even after years of circulation. And true double dies from the late 1980s are significantly scarcer than those from earlier decades due to improved die-making technology, which means any confirmed 1988 double die obverse would immediately attract intense attention from collectors worldwide. But rarity multiplies rather than adds in numismatics, and when such doubling appears on a coin already suspected of having an incorrect metal composition, its desirability and value escalate exponentially, and then comes the role of severe die deterioration, a phenomenon that became increasingly common as the Mint pushed dies far beyond ideal usage limits to maximize efficiency, resulting in collapsing fields, distorted lettering, swollen details, and dramatic metal flow that reshaped Lincoln's portrait in strange and visually striking ways. And extreme die deterioration can create a rough, textured surface appearance, distorted jawlines, thickened rims, and smeared design elements that give the coin an almost sculptural look. And when severe die deterioration coexists with a double die, the resulting coin becomes a one-of-a-kind artifact, because each failing die degrades in a unique pattern that can never be replicated. And adding yet another layer of intrigue is the possibility of major die breaks and retained cuts, where pieces of the die physically fracture and either fall away or remain partially attached, creating large raised blobs of metal on the coin's surface that interrupt the design, sometimes covering parts of Lincoln's head, the date, or the rim. And retained cut errors are especially prized because they represent a frozen moment in the life of a dying die, a brief window during which only a handful of coins could have been struck before the die was removed. And when such a retained cut appears on an already doubled and compositionally anomalous 1988 cent, the resulting piece becomes essentially irreplaceable. And then there is the possibility of a dramatic off-center strike or multi-strike error, where a planchet failed to seat or eject properly and was struck more than once, sometimes at different angles or rotations, creating overlapping designs, rotated impressions, or partial blockage effects where the design of one coin is impressed into another. And while modern presses are designed to minimize such events, failures still occur during jams, sensor malfunctions, or hurried restarts. And a multi-struck 1988 cent that still clearly displays doubling, die deterioration, and other diagnostics would be visually breathtaking, the kind of coin that instantly commands attention in auctions and exhibitions. And another powerful contributor to the $11 million valuation theory is the potential for extreme die clash evidence, where obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring ghostly outlines of Lincoln's portrait onto the reverse or elements of the Lincoln Memorial onto the obverse. And while minor die clashes are fairly common, extreme clashes with bold mirrored details are rare, especially in modern coinage where tolerances are tighter. And when such clashes appear alongside other major errors, they signal a cascading failure of minting systems that collectors find irresistible. And wrong planchet errors beyond bronze also remain a tantalizing possibility, because the mint was striking multiple denominations and even foreign coins under contract during this era, and wrong planchet strikes, though rare, did occur, and a 1988 cent struck on a foreign blank or experimental alloy test piece would be instantly recognizable by its unusual size, thickness, weight, or metallic properties, making it one of the most unique modern cents imaginable, especially if the strike were strong and well-centered. And mint mark location can further amplify desirability, because certain mints develop reputations for specific types of errors due to their machinery and production environment, and a unique error tied to a specific mint and year combination with no known parallels becomes exponentially more desirable, and condition is the final and most critical amplifier of value, because while many error coins survive in worn or damaged states, the hypothetical $11,001,988 cent would need to be preserved in exceptional uncirculated condition, with sharp details, minimal contact marks, and clear visibility of all error diagnostics, because elite collectors are not simply buying rarity, they are buying visual storytelling, a coin that instantly communicates its extraordinary origin the moment it is seen, and authentication is the ultimate gatekeeper, because only coins certified by top-tier grading services with detailed error attributions can command prices in the millions. And once such a coin is confirmed, the market dynamic changes instantly, because supply effectively becomes one, and when ultra-wealthy collectors, institutions, and registry competitors compete for a single trophy coin that defines a generation of modern Lincoln cent errors, price becomes secondary to prestige, narrative, and legacy, and this is why the 1988 1 cent continues to generate speculation, private offers, rare coin legacy, the channel where ordinary pocket change turns into extraordinary stories, and where even the newest coins can hide mind-blowing secrets, because today we are exploring one of the most controversial and fascinating modern numismatic ideas ever discussed, the astonishing possibility that a 2023 1 cent coin, a penny so new that many people still consider it completely worthless, could under extremely rare and specific circumstances reach an almost unimaginable value of $10 million due to a perfect storm of minting errors, production mistakes, experimental conditions, transitional possibilities, and collector-driven scarcity that together elevate a simple modern cent into the same conversation as legendary historical treasures. And to truly understand how this could even be possible, you must first understand the unique environment in which the United States Mint was operating in 2023, a period marked by unprecedented economic pressure, rising metal costs, supply chain disruptions, staffing challenges, and massive production demands, all of which created conditions where quality control systems were stressed, machinery was pushed to its limits, and rare errors had a greater chance of slipping through unnoticed, because by 2023 the mint was not only producing billions of coins annually, but was also under constant scrutiny to reduce costs, improve efficiency, and explore alternative materials, coatings, and processes to ensure long-term sustainability. And whenever experimentation, high-speed production, and human oversight intersect, the probability of rare and dramatic mistakes quietly increases, especially for the humble 1-cent coin, which historically receives the least individual attention despite being produced in the highest quantities. And one of the most explosive possibilities behind the 10,002,023 cent narrative is a wrong metal composition error. Because while 2,023 cents were officially struck on copper-plated zinc planchets, the Mint has been actively researching alternative metals and plating technologies for years, including different copper alloys, steel-based cores, and advanced coatings designed to reduce costs and extend die life. And during testing, calibration, and maintenance, experimental planchets or rejected test blanks can sometimes remain within Mint facilities. And history has proven repeatedly that even with strict controls, non-standard planchets occasionally find their way into circulation presses, producing coins that are fundamentally unique in weight, density, magnetic response, acoustic ring, and long-term aging behavior. And a confirmed 2023 cent struck on an experimental alloy or unintended solid copper or bronze planchet would instantly become one of the rarest modern cents ever discovered, because it would represent a documented failure during a period when such errors were thought to be nearly impossible. But composition alone does not explain the staggering valuation, because the hypothetical 10,002,023 cent would almost certainly feature a true double die obverse, an error created during the die hubbing process rather than during striking, where the design was impressed multiple times at slightly misaligned positions, resulting in bold, unmistakable doubling in the date numerals, thickened and separated lettering in Liberty, and dramatic duplication in God We Trust that remains visible regardless of strike pressure or circulation wear. And true double dies from the modern era are exceptionally rare due to advanced die-making technology, which means that any confirmed 2023 double die obverse would immediately attract global attention. But rarity in numismatics does not simply add, it multiplies. And when such a double die appears on a coin already suspected of having an incorrect or experimental composition, its desirability escalates exponentially. And then comes the role of severe die deterioration, a phenomenon that has become increasingly common in recent years as the Mint pushes dies far beyond their ideal usage limits to reduce costs and downtime, resulting in collapsing fields, distorted lettering, swollen design elements, and dramatic metal flow that reshapes Lincoln's portrait in unusual and visually striking ways. And extreme die deterioration can create a textured, almost melted appearance on the coin surface, with distorted jawlines, thickened rims, smeared letters, and loss of fine detail that paradoxically increases desirability when combined with other major errors, because it represents a unique and unrepeatable stage in the life of a failing die. And when severe die deterioration occurs alongside a true double die on a 2023 cent, the resulting coin becomes a one-of-a-kind artifact that cannot be replicated. And adding yet another layer of intrigue is the possibility of major die breaks and retained cuts, where pieces of the die physically fracture and either fall away or remain partially attached, creating large raised blobs of metal on the struck coin that interrupt the design, sometimes covering parts of Lincoln's head, the date, or the rim. And retained cut errors are especially prized because they represent a frozen moment of catastrophic die failure that could only occur for a brief window before the die was removed from service. And when such a retained cut appears on a coin already exhibiting doubling, composition anomalies, and die deterioration, the rarity reaches an almost theoretical level, because the likelihood of all these errors occurring together on a single modern coin is extraordinarily small. And then, there is the possibility of a dramatic multi-strike error, where a planchet fails to eject properly, and is struck more than once, sometimes at different rotations or offsets, creating overlapping designs, rotated impressions, or partial blockage effects where the design of one coin is impressed into another. And, while modern presses are designed with advanced sensors to prevent such events, no system is perfect, especially during jams, power fluctuations, or hurried restarts. And a multi-struck 2023 cent that still clearly displays doubling, die deterioration, and other diagnostics would be visually breathtaking and historically significant, the kind of coin that instantly commands attention from elite collectors. And another powerful contributor to the $10 million valuation theory is the potential for extreme die clash evidence, where obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring ghostly outlines of Lincoln's portrait onto the reverse or elements of the shield reverse onto the obverse. And while minor die clashes are relatively common, extreme clashes with bold mirror details are rare in modern coinage where tolerances are tight. And when such clashes appear alongside other major errors, they signal a cascading failure of minting systems that collectors find irresistible, and wrong planchet errors beyond experimental alloys also remain a tantalizing possibility, because the mint produces multiple denominations simultaneously and occasionally strikes foreign coins under contract. And despite strict controls, wrong planchet strikes continue to occur. And a 2023 cent struck on a foreign blank or a blank intended for another denomination would be instantly recognizable by its unusual size, thickness, or weight, making it one of the most unique modern cents imaginable, especially if the strike were strong and well-centered. And mint mark location can further amplify desirability, because different facilities use different machinery and processes. And a unique error tied to a specific mint and year combination with no known parallels becomes exponentially more desirable to collectors who specialize in registry sets and modern era coins. And condition is the final and most critical amplifier of value, because while many era coins survive in circulated or damaged states, the hypothetical $10,002,023 cent would need to be preserved in exceptional uncirculated condition, with clean surfaces, minimal contact marks, strong eye appeal, and clear visibility of every error diagnostic, because high-end collectors are not simply buying rarity, they are buying visual storytelling. A coin that instantly communicates its extraordinary origin the moment it is seen, and authentication is the ultimate gatekeeper, because only coins certified by top-tier grading services with detailed error attributions can command prices in the millions.